Right, good afternoon. If you all will take your seats, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Air Mobility and Air Aviation Economic Development Task Force meeting number 2 in the interim. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we'll go ahead and take roll.
Senator Elkins, Senator Stephen Meredith, Senator Nunn, Senator Yates, Representative Hodgson, Representative Michael Meredith, Representative Rorks.
Here.
Representative Thompson.
Here.
Co-Chair Storm.
Here.
Chair Dietz.
Present. All right, first we have approval of the minutes from the July 14th meeting.
Motion.
And a second? Second. All right, everyone in favor?
Aye.
All right, and those pass. We're going to go slightly out of order. It's my understanding, and they were in my office, the Kentucky Aviation Association all day. So we're going to go ahead and welcome them to the table. And gentlemen, once you're seated, if you could go ahead and turn your mics on and then introduce yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. Surprised me a little. We were last on the agenda, but we certainly appreciate that very much. My name is Jonathan Dixon. I am the Executive Director of the Kentucky Aviation Association, and I will let my fellow board members introduce themselves.
I'm Dustin McCoy. I'm a member of the board of the Kentucky Aviation Association, and I'm also a board member at the Bardstown-Nelson County Airport.
Thank you. Tristan Durbin, the Airport Director of the Owensboro-Davis County Regional Airport, as well as the Board President for the Kentucky Aviation Association.
Well, thank you for having us today. We appreciate the opportunity to present in front of you. On behalf of our general aviation airports, our board, our aviation community across the Commonwealth, I wanted to personally thank you for the opportunity to present and to provide information on Kentucky General Aviation and the Kentucky Aviation Association interest and priorities for this year. The Kentucky Aviation Association, or the KAA, is a statewide organization representing the interest of general aviation airports, aviation businesses, and aviation professionals across Kentucky. Our mission is to support our members by promoting, protecting, and advancing aviation in the Commonwealth through funding, safety, infrastructure improvements, all the while supporting growth in aviation-related education and workforce development. For decades, the KAA has been a trusted voice in airports of all sizes, from our small community airstrips to larger airports. This is ensuring that every part of Kentucky has safe and reliable access to aviation. Through our advocacy, educational programs, and collaborative partnerships, we have connected communities, supported local economies, and fostered the next generation of aviation professionals. We're excited to present to you guys today our goals and interests for aviation in the state. First, an overview of general aviation within the state. Kentucky is home to more than 50 general aviation airports. These airports are more than just runways. They are lifelines that connect our rural communities to the rest of the state, the nation, and even the world. They support a wide range of needs, from business to tourism, agricultural, medical transport, educational, and workforce development, along with emergency services, as we have seen in many unfortunate events we have faced in the Commonwealth in the last couple of years. These airports have been those connections to those rural communities. The economic contribution that general aviation has, just on a small scale, these numbers are probably under what they are, but general aviation is not just about planes. It's about people. It's about jobs. Each year, aviation contributes as a total to the state well over $1.6 billion to Kentucky's economy, supports more than 9,400 jobs. That's probably a really low number. Provides more than $400 million in direct labor income to our constituents. That's just out of habit there, isn't it? To the people and citizens of the Commonwealth, this industry generates vital tax revenues that help fund public services and infrastructure across the state. General aviation airports are critical hubs for commerce. They enable businesses to reach markets quickly, transport goods efficiently, and attract new investment and economic development opportunities to Kentucky. Our state's logistic and manufacturing sectors particularly rely heavily on general aviation to stay competitive in a world market. Agricultural and rural connectivity. For agriculture, aviation is indispensable. Aviation aerial applications help farmers manage crops more effectively, boost yields, and protecting our agricultural economy. And beyond farming, general aviation ensures rural communities have access to healthcare, commerce, and tourism opportunities that they might not otherwise be able to reach. General aviation also saves lives. Our airports support air ambulance operations, medical transport, disaster response, and law enforcement missions. When these emergencies happen, these airports provide the critical infrastructure that we need to keep Kentuckians safe. Fiscally, the benefits go well beyond the services. General aviation generates millions of dollars in tax revenue, stimulates local economies through tourism and commerce, increases property values near airports, and encourages both private and public investment and economic development. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our Legislative Committee Chair, Dusty McCoy, and let him continue on the presentation.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you very much. I'm here to ask you for help with four things in the upcoming session. For the last two appropriation sessions, the legislature has provided to the general aviation airports $200,000 per airport that lasted over a 2-year period. The first round went directly to the airports. The second round was run through the Department of Aviation. I will tell you, you've not allocated money in a better way. It completely changed the operational ability of 53 general aviation airports in this state. And it's from things like mowing grass to fixing roofs to taking care of equipment to fixing a fuel leak. I can go on and on and on. The Department of Aviation has a very detailed list, and they have followed all the expenditures of this last $200,000. We will urge that the legislature take a look at this, but it is important money that helps airports operate, and there's a significant need for this on a going forward basis. So that's our first ask. Can we continue to get the funding to go to the general aviation airports? Secondly, there's a statute that governs special purpose governmental entities, and these small airports meet that definition. And there's an audit requirement in that statute that requires airports to provide an audit to the Department of Local Government every 4 years or when requested. And if one thinks back, if you wait 4 years to ask for an audit and then you go collect all the financials, on and on and on, these audits are beginning to cost more than the operating budgets of many of these local airports. We don't dispute the need for accountability. There's a real requirement for it. But we also believe there needs to be a better way to take care of accountability and let these small airports meet their accountability obligations to the state. We don't have a specific suggestion now. We'd be more than happy to come up with one. Next, and this is very important long term, is we have a need for $100 million of airport infrastructure expenditures right now. And that need continues to grow annually. And as that need is not met, at some point it's going to begin to grow exponentially, and it'll be extremely hard to catch up. And what's happened in the past is the local airports have found a legislator who was interested in their airport, and they and that particular legislator worked to get money allocated to the particular airport. And for the airports that have gotten the money, it's been fabulous. But for the great majority of the airports, there's no real funding to take care of significant infrastructure needs. And what we're asking is that the legislature consider the airports a bit like roads. And we're not to say we're as big as roads or the need was anywhere near like roads, but the Department of Aviation has now developed a process where all of the needs around all the local airports have been racked and stacked by order of need. And what we're hoping is that there will be an appropriations process then so that the Department of Aviation can bring these needs into the legislature, a bit like the road fund does, and then the legislature can decide how much money to allocate for these airport needs, and then the Department of Aviation can move on and begin to take care of business. We'll not solve the $100 million problem, which is continuing to grow, in one session or two sessions, but if we have a regularized appropriations process, we will take care of it over time and provide a tremendous benefit to the state. As an aside, one of the things that we've always had difficulty in speaking to the legislature about is what is the real economic benefit the small airports provide to the state of Kentucky. Jonathan gave you some numbers, and they approached $2 billion, and those numbers were developed by the University of Kentucky, and I would call those better than back of the napkin, but not detailed. The Department of Aviation has obtained a $2 million grant from the FAA. They're in the process of doing a very detailed study, airport by airport, as to the economic benefit that are derived from the airports. That will be done by the end of the year. I think it will be important for you to see as you think about funding airports, but I am confident, based upon the early work, we're going to see the numbers are dramatically larger than the numbers Jonathan quoted. And then lastly, last session, the legislature passed something called the Aerospace Education Reinvestment Opportunity Act. And it provided a mechanism by which money could be used to provide scholarships and training workforce development at airports for the children and other young people, let's say school-age children and others around the state. We're asking that the legislature do whatever it can this year within available funds to begin to fund that activity. As Boeing did a study that says we need 900,000 pilots in the United States over the next decade and 800,000 mechanics. That's a national need, but more importantly, as you look at the children of this state, there's opportunity in aviation for well-paying jobs, but we got to get these kids at the airports with scholarships so they can be exposed to things they wouldn't otherwise know. So there's the four things we're asking for. We hope we'll have your support, and we're ready, willing, and able to provide you with other information, background that you might need in order to help make decisions here.
To conclude, Kentucky's general aviation network and system is not just an asset, it's a cornerstone of economic growth, our community connectivity, and our public safety. We certainly appreciate the opportunity, the Kentucky Aviation Association, my board, appreciate the opportunity to speak and present with you today, and would be happy to answer any questions that you may have of us, Madam Chair.
Thank you all. Thank you for sticking around today, and thank you for that testimony. And I think we do have questions. Senator Nunn?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate the presentation. I always marvel at the things that get individual legislators excited or raise our antenna. So you mentioned audits in your presentation, and it's funny. I've heard from two different industry groups over the last week or two about the excessive audit requirements that they go through, and the burden it is on your time, but also on taxpayer dollars. I know you didn't mention any specific requests, but what I would encourage you is please bring us specific requests or ideas on how we can make that process more efficient for y'all and your time, but also taxpayer dollars. What I'm hearing is it's not just a problem that you're experiencing; we're seeing it everywhere. So I'd be excited to see any ideas that you have there. Thank you.
We'd be happy to do that, and can't wait to do it.
Thank you, Senator.
And along those lines, I know we were visiting in my office, and the audit is about every 4 years, I think you told me. And then can you let the committee know what the average cost is that you're aware of for these smaller airports to do the audit?
So what we're hearing from the airports is in the $10,000 to $20,000 range. Many are getting a first quote at $40,000, and then are having to go out and shop as many audit firms as they can in order to provide somebody to do better. But again, I want to stress, for many of these airports, that is more than your annual operating budget.
Senator Nunn has a follow-up.
Thank you. Is there a distinction between safety audits and maybe administrative audits? I mean, how does that broken down? And that's the first follow-up I'd have. And then one thing I've heard is it's often difficult to find an audit firm. There's just not enough inventory of those. And so sometimes it results in an entity being late on their audit because they weren't able to find an audit firm.
That's exactly right. And so these are financial audits. Now, there are another set of safety audits and things of that sort that the Department of Aviation and the FAA does. Bring them on. We need them at the airports. Frankly, we all ought to be doing what we need to do every day in order to keep our airports safe and serviceable. Those aren't an issue, and those aren't really the expenditures that we're talking about. It's these financial audits with audit firms, and you make a great point. Finding a firm is next to impossible for many of these airports.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Next on the agenda, we've got Eastern Kentucky University, and if you all want to make your way up to the table, and thank you for your patience in allowing us to call them first. And once you're seated, if you want to turn your microphone on, make sure the green light's on, and introduce yourselves.
Thank you so much, Chair Dietz, Co-Chair Storm, members of the committee. We are so grateful for the opportunity today to be before you to talk about our School of Education. Our School of Aviation. I've got several folks with me here today, and I would like to introduce them briefly. We also want to make sure that we thank you for the ongoing support that we've received for our aviation program. We have Dean Derek Paulson behind me. We also have Jordan Smith, who has recently joined EKU. Many of you know him already. Next to me, Dr. Tim Holt, who is the brand new chair for our School of Aviation. I'm so sorry today. And Houston Glass with us as well. He teaches in aviation. So these fine gentlemen will tell you a little bit about their background, and then we will go right into the presentation. So thank you.
Well, actually, it's kind of a school of education. We educate, so I'll go with it.
We do have a School of Education.
My background is military aviation, so I did 22 years as a naval aviator. P-3 Orions, followed as a rescue swimmer on H-60 helicopters. Needed to do something a little riskier after that, so I moved into higher education and was with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for about 18 years, with the last 7 years as Dean of the College of Aviation.
Good afternoon. My name is Houston Glass. I am a retired Marine Corps officer.
Can you make sure your microphone's on?
Push that button right there, Houston.
Thank you.
How about that? My name is Houston Glass. I'm one of the faculty members at the School of Aviation. My background is I'm a retired Marine Corps officer. I spent 14 of those years as an air traffic controller, and 4 years of that was an instructor at the Air Traffic Control Schoolhouse. So I bring a lot of experience when we start talking about the air traffic control program that we're trying to start at EKU.
Let me start by thanking you for supporting Kentucky's only FAA-approved four-year university flight program. I like to say, not necessarily the only approved, but I like to say the flagship program of the state of Kentucky. We look at that dearly, and we look at that partnership dearly. We have a new flight school building at the Central Kentucky Regional Airport after the 2024 legislative support of $25 million appropriation, and we're grateful for that. We are looking at breaking ground around January 2026, but we're currently out for bid for that, so we're hoping to be moving earth sometime by late next month and showing those updates with hopeful opening by sometime next year, either late spring of the next academic year. That'll house maintenance, aircraft hangars, and a lot of the infrastructure, as well as expanded aircraft apron and new flight simulators, which we're currently looking at those as partnering with FRASCA, which is part of Flight Safety International. The investment is transforming aviation education and workforce development. Everything we do is about workforce development. It's critical to the national airspace, so therefore critical to the national infrastructure as well as the infrastructure for the state of Kentucky. You can see how our enrollment has been. In any aviation school or program, we of course like to use the word soaring as much as possible, but we do have soaring enrollment. So with the next slide, you can see where we are as far as what we've grown the last few years. We're up over... Yeah. We're up over 150% since 2018. 502 aviation majors. Now, 410 of them are professional flight. So at any time you think about that, about 410 college students flying over your head. 70 of them in aerospace management, and quite a few more in unmanned aircraft systems or drone. 85% are Kentuckians. So 429 of the 502 in fall 2025 are from this state. I think that's something to be proud of. That's workforce development that's critical to the national infrastructure, like I said, but it shows that we're growing in our own home state as well. Students from 24 states attracting talent to Kentucky. In flight hours, on average, we're about 3,500 as late as 2013 to over 16,000 now. We are setting record months, record flight hours every single month because of what we're doing with our students, making sure they're trained applied-wise. Our program strength currently is the 4 concentrations we have: professional flight, aerospace management, unmanned aircraft systems, and aerospace technology. All critically short in the national infrastructure, all needed, and all play off each other with disciplines that move into also homeland security, first responders, military applications. They run the gambit. We have a top-tier placement rate. On average, you're looking at about 95 to 100% job placement rate within the first year after graduation. Think about that. That's 95 to 100%. The national average for employment in your degree field the first year after graduation is 36%. So our students get jobs, and our students get jobs that are highly needed and sought after. Central Kentucky Regional Airport is the 3rd busiest airport behind Louisville and CVG. So you look at the size, you look at what we do, you look at the amount of aircraft we have, we do it efficiently, and we do it very well. We have highly qualified instructors, and we obviously are student-centric and student-focused. Our future programs, when we look at it, look at the vision, I like to say, to the aviation ecosystem, that pretty much goes from the time you park your car to the time you board your aircraft and everything in between. Dispatch is also critically short, so we're going to bring in a dispatch or an aviation dispatch program. That field is projected to grow by 22%, with an average salary of over close to $76,000. Critical to safety, critical to the efficient and effective use and movement of our aircraft. Minor in aviation safety, because everything we do is safety related. Safety management systems, human workforce development, workload management, you name it. We are student or safety focused. That's driven by the safety management system and prepares students for compliance. And then eventually bringing in a master's in aeronautical science. That'll be an advanced degree in planning to meet global industry growth in safety, unmanned aircraft systems, and aerospace management. Our competitive advantage is, you look at our flight fees at $70,000. OSU is over $95,000, Middle Tennessee State over $83,000, and Auburn over $105,000. And there are some private institutions where students are graduating at least $250,000 to $300,000 in debt for flight training. What we do well, and we do it in a way that students should not be financially burdened to follow their path or what they want to do for their life. So we are extremely proud of that. And that is, I think, what makes our program quite distinguishable from others. The demand for air traffic controllers obviously is high, and I will turn that over to Mr. Glass.
I don't think it's an understatement to say that we are at a critical point in our air traffic control system in the national airspace, because there is a critical shortage of air traffic controllers and modernization of equipment out there. As part of that forward thinking, Senate Bill 87 directed CEPE in collaboration with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to assess the capacity of public universities to be able to offer an air traffic control program. Well, Eastern Kentucky University can offer that air traffic control program. And one thing that we offer is my 14 years worth of experience as an air traffic controller. And my credentials have already been accepted by the FAA to be one of the instructors if we are afforded the opportunity to start this program. The FAA has launched a major recruitment drive where they're estimating 8,900 controllers need to be hired by 2028. Okay, as part of standing up this air traffic control program, there's a lot of moving parts. Now, the enhanced CTI program that the FAA offers universities means that we do the same training to the same standards using the same equipment and the same standards that the FAA does. In other words, if they graduate our program, they can go directly from our program to a tower and start working. They do not have to go through Oklahoma City's FAA air traffic control tower. But that means there has to be a pretty steep investment in infrastructure to do that. We need to invest in simulators. We need to invest in different types of equipment. We need to invest in refurbishment of some of our faces or of our spaces to hold that type of equipment. And also there needs to be an investment in human power to be able to manage and effectively teach that program. I'll turn it back over.
That was the start, and then next slide.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to do that?
The other thing we're talking about is aircraft replacement for 2026. So currently we have a fleet of 30 aircraft. That's between Cessna 172s and Piper Seminoles. As I said earlier, one of the things that sets it apart from other programs is what we charge and what the students are paying to make sure that they can follow their pathway. The other thing is, when I look at some other larger programs, my prior institution, we had over 1,000 students flying and a fleet of 80 aircraft. Those institutions like that, that's where students are coming out $250,000, $300,000 in debt because it wasn't done efficiently and wasn't done effectively. And the older aircraft at that size and that condition leads to more maintenance costs, which then leads to more flight costs for the students. Our average aircraft is about 31 years old currently. So when we talk about students flying over your head, they're flying in aircraft that are over 30 years old. The other thing is, as you board an aircraft, I would think anybody sitting in the back of the aircraft would hope to think, what's that pilot learned on? And are they using the most advanced technology when they went through a student pipeline to where they're flying in whatever aircraft they land in? Now that includes 4 leased aircraft currently we have, all manufactured before 1986 with an average of 18,000 flight hours. That's flight hours that were used in training environment, so multiple landings, cross countries, more landings, and then more landings back. That requires a high level of maintenance, which yields increased cost and time out of commission. Our 4 EKU owned aircraft and manufactured in 1980, 1982, 83, and 1988 have an average of almost 13,000 flight hours on them. Replacing aging aircraft with newer models for standardized instrument training, bring in higher technology, bring in more fidelity, and lead to a better prepared student coming out into the equipment they're going to be flying in industry. So our students will be training more with modern avionics. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time and see if you have any questions.
Thank you for your presentation, and I always want to take the opportunity to thank you both for your and with that, we do have questions. Co-Chair Storm.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here today, and I'm partial to EKU and their program. It's a great program. I've actually been there, so I would encourage all the members on the task force to go there and ask Amy to show you around and these fine gentlemen. But my question is about Senate Bill 87 that you talked about and the fact that CPE and Kentucky Transportation Cabinet were to be conducting the study. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple meetings last week, and it's my understanding that, well, let me ask you this. Is the study currently ongoing, and what's the status of the study, to your knowledge?
You need to answer that?
I can talk about that. We have submitted a lot of information to CPE, and when we spoke with them last, I think it was about a week and a half ago, they said that that study was coming along as expected, and they would have results, in the upcoming months. So prior to the legislative session, you will all receive a report.
Thank you.
Senator Nunn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry to be talking so much. I have one question with three very simple parts. You mentioned the certificate in aviation dispatch. Is that the same as air traffic controller? Is that two different
There'd be
disciplines?
two different things. So air traffic controller would be a different certificate. It'd be working in a tower or the TRACON at an airport. A dispatcher could work at an airline or an airport as part of the FBO as pilots go into file. They would look over paperwork, weather conditions, and approve certain flights for release.
And you mentioned the flight fees at $70K. Is there typically aid for that, or is that something students are coming out of pocket for?
It's financial aid.
There is financial aid out there, but it is provided by private institutions and organizations such as the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. But most of those fees come from parents taking loans.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Co-Chair Storm has a follow-up to that question.
Thank you. I was just going to point out that I think the last presenters talked about the Aero Act, and that's a piece of legislation that Representative Fleming and I worked on. And so there's scholarships available to students, but we just have to get the monies into that program. So the Aero Act.
Representative Rourke.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask about the total budget request. I guess saw three different numbers: $5 million for the air traffic control startup, and then $5 million for aircraft replacement, and then also with the mandated program, $1.5 million. Thank you. Annually. So I guess my question is that are those three numbers combined the total budget request, or is there, am I bringing that down correctly?
Right. Those three would be the total budget request for aviation. Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to follow up on a comment that you made at the beginning about placement rates. And are those students being placed within the Commonwealth, or are they being placed outside?
A larger percentage is actually in the Commonwealth, and then some outside, depending on where their domicile would be if they get a flight with a different airline. So that could be domiciled somewhere else, but a larger percentage is within the Commonwealth.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you all
Great.
so much.
Thank you for your time.
Next up, the Kentucky Community and Technical College Systems, Mr. Quarles.
Okay.
And if you all could just turn on your microphones and introduce yourselves, please.
Yes. Ryan Quarles, president of KCTCS.
My name is Kerry Castle. I'm president for Somerset Community College, and in full transparency, I'm also a board member for Lake Cumberland Regional Airport and retired military maintenance technician on F-4s and F-16s.
And I'm not nearly as exciting as Carrie. My name is Cindy Kelly, and I'm president of Madisonville Community College.
We do have a slide deck. We could have assistants pulling it up. I think it's right here.
You're going to let me drive?
There we go. Presentation mode.
Where's my mouse? There it is.
Thank you so much. Thank you, co-chairs Dietz and Storm, for the opportunity for KCTCS to testify this afternoon. I'm joined by several of our presidents and some of their respective staff across the state, including Dr. Kelly, Dr. Castle, thank you for your service to our country. We also have President of West Kentucky Community Technical College, Dr. Anton Reese here as well, and our Executive Vice President and Provost, Dr. Phil Neal. We also have some respective staff from Madisonville who can answer technical questions for you, but we want to get you from terminal to terminal as quickly and safely as possible today. Before we get started, just want to say that KCTCS is on an upward trajectory right now. We just graduated the most number of graduates in the history of the community and technical college system in Kentucky this past spring. Enrollment's up 6.5% or so, and 70% of our students graduate with zero student loan debt. We're very proud of that. Next slide, please. But today we're talking about aviation. We have 5 colleges that currently have programs. You're going to hear from a few of those as well. But just as you can see on the map, out west, currently Madisonville has a fixed-wing flight program and the only helicopter school in Kentucky. So I'd say we're the flagship helicopter program of the Commonwealth, I guess you could say, as well as our AMT program. Somerset and Jefferson Community Technical College have had the longest-standing AMT programs, and you'll hear from them today. And we have 2 programs that are spooling up right now with West Kentucky Community Technical College and Maysville, who are developing their aviation maintenance technician programs and nearing accreditation with the Federal Aviation Administration. As you know and have heard previously, these are highly technical and expensive programs to offer, but we're trying to meet Kentucky's workforce needs. We all know that there's a shortage of pilots, as well as the maintenance and mechanics crew that support the aviation industry nationwide as well. We recently met with the FAA in my office, and we're trying to look for ways that with 5 programs coming on board to streamline our cost and perhaps have 1 coordinator instead of 5 across the state. And so far, they look to be very positive with that sort of program sharing that we have as well. If you want to take a look at our enrollment, we're very proud that our enrollment continues to grow. A 25% increase across our 4 fully functional programs so far. This reflects student interest and regional interest as well. We're very proud of that. And a fun fact, if you look at our AMT programs, the maintenance programs, we nearly have the same number of programs as the state of California. That shows you that Kentucky, again, is reflecting the aerospace technology sector. We're very strong in that. So that's our enrollment, 358. And if you look at the current slide, those are the credentials awarded in the last several years, so 540 certificates granted as well. We have tripled the number of certificates in the past 3 years. Our students enroll with us. They're in our hangars, they're up in the air, they're in our classrooms, they're in simulators, and they graduate within 2 years with our programs as well. These programs are fully accredited by the FAA and provide the required learning outcomes to enter the workforce immediately. And at this time, I'd like to hand it over to Madisonville Community College President, Dr. Cindy Kelly.
All right. Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing us some time to talk to you today. We have been here the past couple years talking about our aviation programs. We do have a fixed-wing flight program. We also have rotorcraft program, and we are just getting ready to spin up our maintenance technician program. We're sharing with you just a slide about the timeline of what we have done. It has been a long road. It has been a road of learning, maybe I should say a skyway of learning. But we have built this program from the distinct request of our local economic development corporations in Muhlenberg County and in Hopkins County. They came to me in 2017 and said, "We want to fly." And I said, "Well, that hasn't been in my thoughts, but we'll think about it." And we started studying it actually in 2017. Worked our way through as a community college, trying to find funding, trying to find the support to do this. We visited other schools, Emory-Riddle, Baylor, to look at how they did flight programs. So as time went on, what we had and what we depended on was community support. We leased our first aircraft in 2021. and we have been going since then, growing both the rotorcraft and the fixed wing programs. We are now at capacity because we have leased aircraft for our programs, and the more we lease, the higher the cost goes for students. So we've actually had to cap enrollment because of that. We don't have the number of assets we need to be able to keep them in the air long enough to get the students to have all their flight hours. So you can see on this timeline in 2024, it was a great year for us because in the spring of that year, Madisonville Airport actually opened up a hangar for us. They worked with us, got grants, and the airport supported us, and we have a brand new hangar in Madisonville. And then in November of 2024, Muhlenberg County Airport did the same. And they have a hangar for us. We're working out of 2 state-of-the-art hangars in 2 different counties. So if I were to add a next dot to that, our hope is our next dot is actually expanding what we have learned about flight training to Somerset Community College and working with them to help them spin up a program in their area as well. So just a couple things about our program. We do have the only associate degree program for flight in the state. We have the only, and I am going to use your phrase, flagship helicopter program in the state of Kentucky. We have 5 FAA certifications that we offer. We offer the associate degree, and we have built the program so that we can take as many as 90 students. We just do not have the equipment, the airplanes and helicopters for that at this time. We are serving many students in Kentucky. We also have some students coming in from Illinois, from Kansas, and from Tennessee to come into our program. We're very proud of the pass rate for our students on their first attempt check rides. We're over 95% on that for first-time pass rates. Very proud of that number. And as I said earlier, we do have hangars in 2 counties now. Just by the numbers, just real quick, we have enrolled 153 students in our program since 2021 when we took our first students. Remembering that those first couple semesters we were going with 1 student and 2 students because they were going, what's going on here? Since February of 2023, we've flown well over 7,000 flight hours. We have also been able to have students earn 110 pilot ratings, FAA pilot ratings in our short time. We currently have 9 instructor pilots, and we're very proud that we are able to use our graduates as certified flight instructors, but also we're proud that we have 5 veterans working with us right now as pilot trainers. So we're happy to have them with us. We are operating right now with 3 airplanes and 2 helicopters. We work a whole lot with veterans, and of course, if you know where Madisonville is, we're in close proximity to Fort Campbell, and we are helping those folks who want to stay with their helicopter training transition into civilian life, but we have built a bridge for those folks because they've been flying in the service as service members, and we don't think they need to start at the beginning. So basically, we've built a bridge program that allows them to have credit for prior learning and helps them move forward quickly. And many of them are going ahead and getting their civilian flight ratings and also getting their fixed wing flight ratings. So we're proud of that. Our graduates can start their careers with regional airlines at about $67,000. That's entry. Now, we do have our students who can work for us immediately after they graduate because they need to be able to attain 1,500 flight hours to go into commercial and regional airlines. So they can go to work for us at $35 an hour immediately. As they move into the regionals, they can go into $60,000 to $90,000 jobs, and then when they go into commercial, they can earn anywhere, whether if they're a first officer or a captain, anywhere from $110,000 to $300,000, depending upon their experience and what they're flying. Our students also, I just want to make note, do utilize for our tuition part of our program financial aid and the Work Ready Kentucky Scholarship. We're very proud that they do that. And it's a little story, but one of the stories that we tell is that during the flooding in North Carolina in October 2024, a couple of our flight instructors, helicopter flight instructors, said, "We're going." Well, where are you going? They took helicopters and they worked, and they took one of our students with them to get the experience, but they worked through that disaster getting medicines, foods into people where the bigger helicopters and the vehicles couldn't get. They were actually a lifeline for people who were hit by that flood in October 2024. And we were very proud that they gave their time and went there and did that. Just real quickly, a couple student success stories. Cyrus Craig is one of our students. He is now a CFI for us. He is teaching other students, but he was our very first student to complete everything. He completed the associate degree, got all the flight certifications, and he is just finishing, getting ready to finish up with us. He's got flight hours in, and he's being courted by regional airlines, so he's going to decide where he wants to go to work. Then another success story we have is Jesse DeJanes. He came from the military. He was a helicopter pilot, and he joined us through the bridge program that we have for veterans, and he became a CFI with helicopters. So he was helping us teach helicopters, but flight training, but then he was also getting his own commercial training at that point in time. He's totally finished up all of that work and was thinking about going into commercial flight for a passenger company. However, he has ended up being a helicopter pilot again. He's working air evac and keeps his ratings up, and we're very proud of the work he does and that he represents us as one of our graduates. So just real quickly, that's a little bit about our program, and I think we're going to have Dr. Castle.
Great. So I get to talk about Somerset Community College, but I will tell you we are duplicating the same program across 3 other colleges in the system with, I think, a lot of ideas that people are interested in doing this more. All the programs are exactly the same, so you go from one to the other. You have the same requirements, the same credentials, same credits. So SECs is the oldest program. We've been around since 1971, and maintenance programs, as you might imagine, are very highly regulated by the FAA. They are in our back pocket from the day we sign on to work with them till we decide we aren't going to teach anymore. But they work under Part 147. There are several schools in Kentucky already. You've heard about the ones that KCTCS has. Both us, Jefferson Community and Technical College, West Kentucky Community and Technical College, Maysville Community and Technical College, and soon Madisonville Community College. There's one private school in the state, and I bring this up because I want to give you some comparisons. Near the northern part of the state, Epic Aircraft Maintenance Schools offers the same opportunity for this. However, their program is $46,000, while ours is right at $12,000 for a degree. And if you're just looking for the certificates you need to become an aircraft maintenance technician, then we're about $10,000. So we are highly competitive in that area, and look forward. And I will tell you, it's the same exact material. It has to be because the FAA requires that. Like I said, we've been around since 1971. We do all of our work in a 4-semester approved program.
We have that program nestled into our career and technical education area. Our students are eligible for the workforce scholarship as part of this program, so that's been a big boon for us as well. We have one program coordinator and 4 full-time instructors with 1 adjunct instructor. As I mentioned, we're located at Somerset Community College, but we are actually on the airport right next to the Lake Cumberland Regional Airport with 6 classrooms, teaching lab, 2 hangars. We have 13 airplanes, 2 helicopters, and our hangars are about 11,000 and 5,500 square feet each. These credentials that are standard across the system include an aviation maintenance technology degree. That's a 2-year degree. An airframe and power plant maintenance technician diploma, and an airframe maintenance technician, power plant, and general maintenance technician certificates. Without going into detail, I will just tell you if you want to become an AMT, you're going to have to take at least the general portion, and then either the airframe or power plant or both to become an A and P. It's a 2-year, like I said, roughly 1,900, 2,000 hour program, and it is pretty rigorous. The testing is not done by the colleges. The testing is done by the FAA through third parties, and they are given a 3 written tests, and then they're given an oral and practical that takes about a day for them to complete. Next slide, please. Okay, you're there. The retention rate for us has been about 90% so far, and a persistent rate about 92%. That means we have got students coming in and they stay. For the second slide, we're taking a look here at our industrial needs. And in Kentucky, we've got about 4,400 people that are employed right now in aviation, with a growth of about 2.2% through 2029 projected. Nationally, pretty close to 140,000 employed, with wages right around 75, 76,000. But as you can see, all that's for naught if we can't get them trained and get them into the field and start working. As you heard mentioned with a couple previous folks, we are looking at 700,000 to 800,000 additional AMTs over the next 30 years. That's a lot of folks, and it takes a good bit of time to grow them through the program. We fund our program each year with about $20,000 worth of materials. That is for everything. So if we have to get new equipment, tools, expendable items, oil, fuel, everything from gaskets, O-rings, you name it, all that comes out of that one budget, and it is rarely enough to get us through the entire year. We use Perkins funding when it's available to add additional equipment and subscriptions to our technical data and the like. We also work with our advisory group pretty closely. 2 times a year we talk with the aviation area people and find out what's new and what's needed in that area as well. Next slide. Graduates for us, as you can see, these 2, we have one graduated in 2015 and has gone on to do some great things in aviation, but I'd love to tell you that his story is unique, but it's not. I think our aviation maintenance folks have been able to go essentially wherever they want to go. And they are able to work in some of the bigger places like PSA Airlines, all the maintenance, resource, repair, and overhaul places, particularly Lockheed Martin, Thoroughbred Aviation, smaller fixed bases of operations at all our general aviation airports. The problem with our graduates and getting a job is pay. It's not whether they can get a job, it's whether they can get the job they want at the rate they want. And the airlines and the major organizations that are out there, builders, manufacturers, they are all paying very, very high rates. So they are drawing our students away. If a student wants to stay, we have to continue. They have to take a little bit of a less pay in the local area to be in this area. And that's been a rough area. One of the greatest needs we have is for our general aviation mechanics. And as you heard mentioned earlier, there's 56 airports in the state. 53 of them are GA airports, and every one of them needs aircraft maintenance technicians of some type or sort. And so those are the areas that I think we need to be focused on as well. It's, like I said, the lowest paid level, but it's one of the ones we're going to have to continue to be driving to get further up the road. Next, please. As far as workforce outcomes go, you can see that the two colleges here, Jefferson and Somerset. What I like to point out is our students really start out at a pretty high rate, depending on where they go. And if you look closely, you'll see if they stay 10 years post-graduation, they're making a pretty good chunk of money. If they're in the Louisville area, those students are hopefully a lot of them are able to get on with UPS, and when they get on with UPS, that's one of the bigger air bases there. They're going to be pulling in six figures at that point because they have 5 years of experience before they even get hired. So there is a lot of draw for students to come in and get paid for the work that they earn. Our community colleges are doing an awful lot to help grow people and fill this need. We continue to work with equipment that we've had, in some cases, at Somerset, we're working with stuff we've had 50 years ago. However, it's still good serviceable equipment, but we need equipment that is current. And you heard people mention air traffic control and flight programs and newer airplanes and avionics. Same thing for maintenance. If you want to bring people up to that level of expertise, you have to give them the equipment to do it with. We've been teaching AMTs with, like I said, older equipment for a long time and need to adapt to something a little bit bigger and better. We feel like attracting aviation business and industry is more than just an airport and a shop. We have to be able to provide that needed talent and capacity to grow and grow that talent here in Kentucky from our community colleges just like ours. From that, I say all that to tell you I'm impressed with this place and with aviation, and I hope you are getting the same kind of feeling from me. It's a great, great place to be.
Thank you, Dr. Castle, Dr. Kelly. We're on to dissent now. So again, main takeaways here is that big upfront costs before the FFA will credit your programs. And so that's one thing to keep in mind. We're always in the need, like EKU, for more aircraft, but also airframes as well. I've reached out to NTSB to say, can you donate planes as well? And so we're trying to find ways to have materials donated as well. Thank you for your all's funding for this. We really appreciate that. Western and Maysville are coming online as well due to funding in the current budget. We appreciate that. And last slide here, just want to say we look forward to having this conversation and submitting a budget request as well. And KCTCS, it gives you wings.
I like
Wasn't ready for that one.
With that, thank you so much for your presentation. Any questions from the committee members? Senator Storm.
Thank you. Mostly a comment. I want to tell you, Dr. Quarles, you have a great team. And Dr. Kelly, she let me fly a helicopter when I went out there to Madisonville Community College. That was a great experience. And Dr. Castle always is very kind and shows me around the campus. So I'd encourage all the members of the task force, please go visit these locations. There's a map on the front, I think it's the second slide, of where these are located. And Dr. Quarles will be sure to hook you up with tours if necessary. So thank you for your good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next on the agenda, we have the Aviation Museum of Kentucky. If you want to make your way up to the table, please. And once you all get seated, if you want to turn your microphones on and introduce yourselves, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Ron McBride. I chair the Board of Trustees for the Aviation Museum of Kentucky.
I'm Tina Nance. I'm the Executive Director of the Aviation Museum of Kentucky.
Sarah Wood, Policy Director at Babbage Co-Founder.
I will lead off with some just brief comments. And I will tell you that the thing we do at the Aviation Museum of Kentucky is inspire young people to consider a career in aviation. Without that inspiration, nothing happens beyond that. When you have a child who gets into the high school or early college time and they're starting to think about transitioning to another career, it's too late. We work with youth from age 10 and up, and we have turned out more than 10,000 children successfully, and many of those have gone into aviation. As we sit here and speak today, We have 2 of our graduates active involved in military training. We have a slew of our students active in airport management. We have a whole bunch of folks who have gone through our program that have been a success onto themselves because they got their start at AMK. And I'm certain there's people in this room who've had children in our summer camp who have come home and said, that was really a great thing. It is a great thing because they get introduced to flying and they actually have a opportunity to fly an aircraft with an instructor. Why are we here today? Well, we're going to talk to you about what we're going to show you is the material that is going to give you a preliminary look at a concept for a new museum building. And why a new building? Well, real simple. The progress at Bluegrass Airport, they're going to do some construction work, a whole bunch of construction work, and guess where they need to go? Right where our building's located, so we have to move. But we're blessed. We are very blessed. Eric Frankel, the executive director of Bluegrass Airport, with the consent of his board, has provided us an ideal location for a museum located right on Man of War at Airport Road. You couldn't have a better visibility place in the entire area, that area of Kentucky. We are focused on, as I say, the young workers, but we're also working with transitional workers, those workers in Kentucky who are finding themselves out of work, wanting to change. We help them find their way forward into the aviation career. Our goal is to make AMK a new organization, the Kentucky Aerospace Education Center, and that organization's responsibility would be to become the focal point for all the aviation industry. That is big, big business. You folks know this far better than I do. In Kentucky, aviation is a major business, and we are feeding that system. So I want to say to you that we need your assistance. You've been very kind to us so far. You've given us the starting funds to get our project underway. And I'm going to turn it over to Executive Director Nance and let her tell you about the program as we go forward. Yeah.
Good afternoon, committee members. Thank you for being here, and thank you for inviting us to the Military Kids Day. It's always a blast for us and to see these kids come out and be so excited. And thank you for your commitment to investing in Kentucky's aerospace infrastructure to ensure that we maintain our dominance within the state and global industries as well. Also, I'd like to thank Eric Frankel for being here from Bluegrass Airport and Representative Fraser Dietz for her support. For Fraser Gordon, Fraser Gordon for her support as we move forward. So we believe that we are the foundation of the spark, more or less, for inspiration when it comes to students, when it comes to aviation, aerospace within Kentucky. A little bit about us and our roots. So we were founded in 1978 as the Kentucky Aviation History Roundtable. And over the years, it grew from a small collection of planes to quite a large collection of planes. And so they opened up as the Aviation Museum of Kentucky in 1995 at Bluegrass Airport. And in 2006, his legislature designated us as the official Commonwealth Aviation Museum of Kentucky. Our mission is to serve the Commonwealth with dynamic aerospace education programs to promote the state's aviation industry and to serve as a focal point for our rich aviation history. And we're also home of the Kentucky Aviation Hall of Fame with some very notable Kentuckians that we were very proud of to be a part of. So we were also voted the best museum 3 years in a row, have over 24 unique aircraft on display, and a combination of wonderful, marvelous military and civilian and military aircraft. But education is at the heart of what we do. We inspire the next generation of aviators and aerospace professionals. Our summer aviation camps began in 1996, and we've hosted almost 10,000 students since that time. This summer, we had camps located here in Lexington, and we also are scattered throughout the entire state at Northern Kentucky, Bowling Green, Pikeville, and Owensboro. Other programs we host are NASA and a partnership with NASA and the Fayette County Public Schools, which we have a mini one-day aviation program called Aerospace Motivates Kids. And this year, actually, we'll be expanding that to include Jessamine County middle school students as well. We have a BD5 Learning Lab that is open every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., where we invite students, parents, those who are interested to be a part of putting together an old James Bond-style aircraft that we're popping the rivets in one at a time. We also have started offering FAA Part 107 remote pilot certification prep classes to prepare individuals for commercial drone operations and to help meet those growing demands. As we celebrate 30 years of what we're doing here, we know that Kentucky's aerospace industry is a huge economic engine for the state. In fact, bigger than horses and bourbon combined. Yet, we're staring down a massive workforce gap. Planes aren't building themselves, and those high-demand jobs of pilots, engineers, drones need skilled hands today, not tomorrow. So with the airport's expansion going on, we are very, very proud to say that, we've worked with them to secure a corner lot on the Man of War and Airport Road. And as a part, go ahead. And as a part of this, we saw a strategic move for us and a continued growth of the organization to become the Kentucky Aerospace Education Center and really enhance what we do with education and workforce development. So that will change our governance model as well. So we'll move from our wonderful board of aviation enthusiasts who've been passionate, dedicated workers for us to a board that is comprised of aviation, aerospace industry leaders within the state and nation. And so that will set the stage for us to help move this organization forward. And we've started some as the Kentucky Aerospace Education Center. And this will be a transformative project that builds on the foundation of the museum. It will also inspire students by blending education, innovation, inspiration, and some of our best assets within the museum. It's not about looking back, but instead propelling us forward. And this isn't just quite a museum upgrade. You can go ahead and show them the proposed sketch. It's a hub for learning, discovery, a design to draw in people and ignite their passion for aerospace, supporting Kentucky's role as a global leader. And as you can see on this rendering, this is our first rendering that we have, and we just completed this undertaking with our team. So this will be what will go on, hopefully, on Man of War and Airport Road. You can scroll to the next one if you like. It's a place where Kentucky's aviation heritage meets cutting-edge education, positioning us to attract tourists, locals, and hopefully our next generation. You can go ahead to the next one. So some of the floor plan, as we've laid it out, includes the Kentucky as an aviation economy, so truly showcasing what we are doing here within the state really, really well. Bringing in exhibits around UPS, DHL, Amazon, as well as some of the smaller aviation and aerospace industries within Kentucky. We'll also have a dedication for the Kentucky Aviation Heroes, which looks and highlights our Hall of Fame and what our local people have done within the world. As well as Kentucky and the world, we'll talk about our connections to global aviation, showcasing how we truly, truly connect the world of aviation within the world. So this floor plan will be interactive for all visitors can explore, learn. At the same time, we'll be more than just a museum. We'll be an educational hub for the entire state. And as you can see in this rendering, we have students here going through active simulators within the museum and inspiring them to see themselves in these careers as we move forward. So you can scroll down. So the Kentucky Aerospace Education Center. It will enhance our workforce development to meet growing industry demands. It will provide education and strengthen our role as a global leader. And we will also elevate Kentucky's global influence. Remember, Kentucky doesn't just export aviation parts, we export possibility, allowing the world to see what people can build, as evidenced by companies like the Aerospace Composite Solutions, which will be inducted into our Hall of Fame this coming year. At its core, the KAEC will be underpinned by a reimagined museum, honoring the past while boldly speaking to the future, with a large floor space and education interior designed to attract these students and be a part of this project. The rate of return. So the rate of return for the state. So let's talk about the return on investment. The KAEC will drive workforce development, building skills for high-demand jobs and an industry facing shortages, as we've heard so many times today, over and over again. And we need to be positioned for growth. It creates a career pipeline through education, preparing students K through 12 and beyond with programs that will extend beyond Lexington to the entire state. With our statewide reach that we currently have, we will expand this to all corners within the Commonwealth to ensure that no region is truly left behind. from Lexington to even rural Pikeville. We expect that this will be an economic boost for tourism as well, attracting visitors and generating revenue, much like our current museum does. And finally, we hope it will foster some unity as Kentucky's aerospace leaders collaborate to elevate our voice on the national stage. Go to the next one. What we're asking of the legislature this round is to help us make this KAC truly a reality. With this, we're launching a capital campaign of an estimated $32 million. And so we're requesting $4 million in total, $2 million spread over each biennium. And this, we envision it as a public and private partnership with funding from the City of Lexington, industry partners, and private donors. And your investment will truly yield a long-term benefit for our entire state when it comes to workforce and education. So, do we have any questions? And yeah, there's no.
Sorry. Any questions? Thank you so much for your presentation. We really appreciate it. We look forward to hearing more about this when we come back in January.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last and certainly not least, we've got FEME Aero. If you want to make your way up to the table. And once you're seated, if you can just turn on the mic and introduce yourself.
It might be still on, or do I need it? Is okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Madam Chair, Co-Chair Storm, and the rest of the task force. It actually is apropos to be the last one because we are the employer of all of these programs that you've heard about today, or one of. We like to think we are. A little bit about FEME Aero. We are a 33-year-old third-party MRO, which is maintenance, repair, and overhaul. We are headquartered in Miami, Florida, but our largest location is here at the CVG airport. I do want to acknowledge that the pleasure it has been to work with the Commonwealth. We have gotten a hangar built, groundbreaking and hangar built and staffed in less time than it took us to execute a lease in Miami. So would just like to give the credit where it is due. We're also a recipient of the KBI Kia Award as well as the GIAA and STIC for training, so appreciate that. I'm going to be focusing on the mechanics, the airframe and power plant mechanics. You've heard lots of numbers about the scary state of the workforce and the future state of the workforce. I have opted to provide you with some light and reading material to take back with you and your orange folders. We are noticing this lack of workforce is expanding and growing. The biggest issue we're facing right now is as the baby boomers start to retire. With the enactment of COVID, we lost more through forced retirement or encouraged retirement, so that brain trust is going away. What we're looking at, and we want to support all of the organizations that presented here today, is the understanding of, through the funding that you'll be providing, we'd like you to consider starting educating and informing students in about the 7th grade. That's about the time they're still playing with their trucks, their dolls, their toys. Adults aren't awful just yet. We're starting to get there. But they're also interested in hearing what opportunities there are out there. We are noticing there are some barriers to entry which prevent the students that are finishing school to getting to their A&P certification and starting to work for a company like FEME. Some of the issues we're facing that are more at a federal level is the lack of designated mechanic examiners. Did I get that right? I always get the DME wrong. The FAA determines when and where those examiners are certified. It is not a nationwide thing, it is regional. If there is help from the Commonwealth to talk to and encourage the FAA to open up the opportunity for more certified DMEs in the region, that would help the transition and the delay, or reduce the delay for getting a certified technician. We also face the things with, again, with the FAA is the time for approval for A&P schools and AMT schools. That delay can be up to 2 to 5 years. So if we can expedite that or have a conversation with them from a state level They understand that it's not just the industry, but the states are recognizing that this is an important goal to achieve. It helps with the schools that presented today as well as any that are coming in the future. Some smaller things that we do come across are financial barriers to entry. For students that are coming from a different economic background, a starter kit, a toolkit for a mechanic can be upwards of $2,500. So if there's assistance that can be given to the schools or the students directly to help them get that starter kit would be helpful. You think of a chef and they have their knives and they don't share those, that's a similar thing with the toolkit for a mechanic. We're also facing things like housing, which everybody comes across, but transitional housing for a new mechanic to be able to pay first, last, and current month's rent is a very big challenge to be able to allow them to transition anywhere within the Commonwealth to be able to work for an employer. As I saw with KCTCS, they represented a couple of women. It's childcare. This is a 24/7, 365 industry. 24-hour childcare is really crucial to be able to expand the workforce. As we know, in one of our reports we've learned, it's less than 3% of the workforce is female. So expanding a childcare option is an opportunity to expand the opportunities for the workforce. Things we're also facing is transition programs. With a mechanic, you graduate school, but you're not immediately allowed to sign off on an aircraft, which I hope provides some relief when you're getting up in the air in a larger plane. There are people that are still going to oversee what the mechanic's working on. We'd love to also talk about soft skills, which is technical writing, communication. With the generational, we're coming across complications among seasoned employees and the newer ones on how to communicate, who's comfortable with technology, who's not, and who is the person that needs to adapt. We're looking at, we work very wonderfully with CVG, so I got to sit next to Mindy here. Also, BNKY is establishing a program that's working with K through 12 and helping introduce various industries to the students in there. The information I provided in the folders I gave to you is helping you not to have to reinvent the wheel, to introduce a couple of programs that I'm familiar with that are already working, that have already been established, including Choose Aerospace, which works with high school students, as well as things I understand that are happening at the federal level with the administration interested in focusing on apprenticeships. So if there are ways to partner with both the workforce as well as the educators to provide additional support financially for apprenticeships, that is a great opportunity to get the experience for the student to then develop into the workforce. That's all I have for now, but I wanted to close it with what the workforce is doing. Any questions?
Senator Nunn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Real briefly, it's not directly workforce related, but have you seen any models where maintenance is conducted away from a standard airport, maybe for lack of a better word, a third-party facility, to where you're not utilizing this very precious airspace and air traffic control resources that are used up at an airport?
As far as I have seen, no. You need to have them. The cost to move the plane to another space is also cost prohibitive for a company.
Yeah.
And you have the access too. You need the air traffic controllers if you need to move the plane from one place to another. For example, we have to contact air traffic control to move a plane from our first hangar to our second hangar, which are right next door to each other.
Okay.
So it's the access point that you need with the airport.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from any of the members? Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for making your way to Frankfurt today.
Of course, happy to be here. Thank you.
And with that, I think that concludes our meeting for today.